Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the latest edition of Free Thought Hour. Now, it's a little bit of an experiment today because, firstly, we're connecting with a broadcaster himself who's got his own channel, or at least he's a member of a team that does the Humanist TV channel in West Africa, South Africa, and East Africa. So I'll be very pleased to introduce him in a minute. But first of all, I've got to tell you that Tercia may be along later, or she may not be able to join us at all. However, I do have the possibility of another co-host who might be able to join us later this evening. And that is in the form of Esther, the Afro-Humanist, who also has her own YouTube channel, and she's a British Nigerian. So anything could happen. Anyway, let's hope that our connection holds up, first of all. And welcome, Apiajei Danka. How the devil are you?
I'm doing well, Comrade John Richards. I hope you are doing great too.
I'm okay. Yes, thank you. Yes. And I hope that because I know we've talked before and our connections have broken a couple of times. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't happen now. Anyway, as I said, you're a member of a team of this organization which does live streaming, like I do, and you're called Humanist TV. Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Thank you very much. And it's an honor and privilege to be here on this great platform. In fact, Atheism UK and Free Thought Hour has been a forefront broadcasting uh, network which have been able to connect unbelievers, atheists, and agnostic all over the world. And I'm really proud, in fact, to be here, even to be hosted by a legend like you, a living legend like so.
Well, you could be overdoing the flattery a bit.
No,
I've been,
no, I saw your video with Richard Dawkins,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm that's why I'm saying I'm proud because these are the people we admire from afar, and
indeed,
we
yes.
even, yes, and we even wish to even see them. And they are more or less like our Jesus Christ of our days. So being hosting him and seeing you guys was really, and I'm really happy to be here too. And you
Great.
talked about Humanist Television
Yeah.
Africa. Yes,
Mm.
Humanist TV Africa was instituted by our own comrade Kato Mukasa, and he told me you are a very good friend of his, and the late Linda Tilly of South Africa. Linda uh, joined our, let me say in our African term, Linda joined our ancestors about 3 months ago, and she and Comrade Kato formed the call to activism, and it's later turned out to be Humanist TV Africa. And our vision is to create a broadcasting channel or a platform so that the modern day African can also relate to it, because most of all of our media houses in Africa are being owned by politicians, are being
Yes,
owned by these so-called religious
yes.
leaders. So they manipulate our thoughts, our everything, our news, everything. They manipulate everything. So it is hard time for us. So we also said we were thinking about how can we manage to pull all these great African young guys together.
Yeah.
So little by little, we managed to get other peoples from different parts of Africa. Then we joined forces together and created the Humanist TV Africa to rival the religious, because the content creating, all our television, our movies, our music, everything in Africa is superstitious, or it is religious, or is being done in a religious angle, and it creates the impression that we cannot do without God. So this is another platform in which humanists and non-humanists alike can come together and enjoy content that are not let excuse me, that are not superstitious. So that is the main motive of Humanist TV Africa.
Well, Dean has put a message here for us. Look, he's a friend of ours who's a regular viewer of our output, and he says Humanist TV kicks ass. So he's a fan of yours. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to, for the benefit of our viewers, I just wanted to fill in some of the detail between the facts that you've distributed, which is that this is my hobby, this particular channel. My job is I'm executive president of Atheism UK, and
Wow.
the 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 videos that you've seen of me with Richard Dawkins and people like that, that was what I did in my day job. So I organize events, and those are some of the guests that come to the events that I organize. So this is what I do on the weekends. This is my hobby show, and I've been doing this for must be over 3 years now. And I have had some very wonderful guests. If you look in the archive, you'll see all sorts of people that I've interviewed, and in an association very often with Tricia, who unfortunately she can't join us tonight. Let me tell you why. It's because she is an activist as well, and she's got a group in South Africa called Kruisvrij, which means cross free, and she's trying to campaign against all of these religious crosses that are all over South Africa, schools, not just churches, but all sorts of the government buildings. And so anywhere they can put a cross, they do. And she's objecting to that and campaigning against it. And what she's doing this evening is fundraising. So she's managing to get some money to help with that mission. So, yes, we are a group of people with similar intentions to purify the minds of people who have been polluted with these myths. And you're doing that, I'm doing that, and she's doing that, and so is Dean. We're all doing that. But I wanted to talk to you a bit about Kumasi, because I've been there. I've been to Kumasi, and I had a look at you've got a little museum or art center there, and you have the stool of the chief of the, let me think, it's the Ashanti tribe, isn't it? Yes, it's the headquarters of the Ashanti tribe. Compared to on the coast, where it's more common to be a member of the Fanti tribe or one of the other tribes in Ghana. But I wanted to mention this because in northern Ghana, further north than where you are, I believe, you have Muslims, don't you? Do you have any trouble with the Muslims in northern Ghana? Because I know that in neighboring, well, not quite neighboring, but nearby Nigeria, they've had constant trouble with Muslim raiders on motorcycles carrying AK-47s and doing all sorts of kidnapping schoolgirls. Do you have that in northern Ghana?
Thank you very much. And we don't have that in northern Ghana.
Good.
Ghana is a very peaceful place, and kudos to our security. They are doing quite a lot to protect Ghanaians. And uh, in Ghana, Muslims and Christians have been living together for a very long time. So
Good.
there isn't that enmity between these two religious grouping. But if uh, I, quite recently, a friend of mine who happens to be a journalist was mobbed by his own community because he was expressing atheistic thoughts to his community. He's a radio guy, and it's not as often as in other countries. And other countries like Nigeria, the Boko Haram guys, it's a political tool they are trying to use to force Islam
Yes.
on
Yes.
Nigerians. So
Yes.
we don't have that kind of politics here in Ghana. But
Good.
we will
Mm.
say Ghana, it will be safe like that. It is breeding. People are having these ideologies in their heads every day, because the
Mm.
more people become religious, the more they become affiliated to that religion. So uh,
Yes.
I, I won't say it can happen in the near future. So that is
Yeah.
why the more reason uh, we are here to tell all religious people that they can be religious, they can all right, but the moment they convince themselves that they have to spread their religion through any means necessary is where the problem really lies.
Yes. Absolutely. We don't mind people being religious as long as they keep it to themselves. there's no need. There's no need for them to try and enforce us to join their religion. And you're in a country which I think is 95% religious. If you ask people, you conduct a poll in Ghana, that's the number of people who say they believe in a God. 95%. That's really huge. But I'm glad you don't have the troubles that neighboring Nigeria has, because, of course, they've got a border with Niger, which is more or less constantly at war at the moment. And the French have pulled out, so they don't provide any security now. That is quite a disaster. And you don't have these televangelists like TB Joshua. Is that right?
We have most of them here also in Ghana, and they are causing a lot of mess in our country. I think they are the reason marriages are constantly breaking down here in Ghana. Families are tearing apart all because of these pastorpreneurs, as
Mm.
my comrade Katu calls them. They will do anything to divide the people so that they can get the Jews out from the people. So they are causing a
Mm.
lot of mayhem here in Ghana and Africa
Mm.
as a whole. And it's hard time we have to stand toe to toe with them and boot boot for boot with them and fight them, because the government at the end of the day, the government are with them and they've connived together. Can you imagine we spent over $400 million building a cathedral, and that $400 million being spent by the government is just a hole. We've dug a hole in Accra, one of the
Yes, yes,
prime areas in Accra. We've
yes,
dug a hole, and the hole consists 400 million United States dollars. So this is the country we are living in. Half of the population are happy because they think the president is building a cathedral and God will bless the country through that cathedral. And there are a lot of people who are in the hospitals dying. We don't have enough medical facilities,
mm,
equipment in the hospital. People are dying each and every day, but it seems we don't care. We care about building a cathedral to praise
yes,
an imaginary being. And I
yes,
think
yes,
we have to stand boot for boot with them. Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, it's also it's being done with government money, isn't it? So the people, through their taxes, are paying for this cathedral, while they can't afford the medicines that some of them need. And this is a completely misplaced sense of priority. We
Of
need
course.
hospitals. We do not need cathedrals.
Yes. Of course. Of course. And because the African uh, the, is notoriously religious, because that is why people in our local language in Akan we say "Obinchre akodanyame," which means nobody teaches a child God. Yet we are groomed in our childhood uh,
Yes,
to fear
yes,
God. To it is they teach us God, but they rather come back to tell us nobody teaches a child God. No,
Yeah.
that they don't do that. They teach us, they indoctrinate us for us
Yes.
to fear
Yes.
the yes. So it is the problem of the society, and few people are capitalizing on it to for whatever gains they want. They are capital. They are destroying families. They are destroying. I started doing broadcasting when I finished my national service with Ghana
Mhm.
Broadcasting Corporation here in Kumasi.
Mhm.
So I started a set one program around. I think there was some free slot of time around around 9 o'clock p.m. in the evenings on Monday. So I started a critical thinking program, and
Uh-huh.
they said I should stop the program. When I started, they said they pushed the program to 10 to 11 because people were complaining that there's this guy on radio telling people to think twice about religion and that. So they pushed my program to, I think, 10 or 11. And we were still, because I was with, I think this happened around 2012, 2013. Yeah, 2013. And
Mhm.
I was having other guys from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and other friends of mine. So we will come assemble together in the studio. Then we'll be sharing talk. And there was this story: a man, a Ghanaian who was living in the United States, was in the country, but he was listening to us on the radio, and
Yeah.
he drove to our studio, and he said, "Look, I've been in the States. I've
Mhm.
built a house here in Ghana. I have 2 cars here in Ghana, but I drove
Mhm.
my mother out of the house I built for her. My mother took care of me and made me somebody. But because of one pastor here in Ghana, the pastor told me my mother is a witch, and things are getting difficult for me, and it is my mother. So he came, Ghana sent the mother away from the building and gave the building to the pastor. The pastor sold the man's he was having 2 cars in the house. He sold both cars, and later when the man listened to when he was in Ghana and listening to our program, he brought the mother back to the building and sent the pastor away. And he thanked us that if it wasn't that particular program, he wouldn't have even realized that the mother is the most important thing in his life. So I thought it right from that, then, which means we are doing something, which means we've helped someone. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
started from there, and we organized other people here in Kumasi. We usually sometimes we meet at some locations and we talk, and we started going from one radio station to the other stations. And people in the if you go to radio station, any radio station, go and say superstition, God doesn't exist, all the people will hate you. Everyone will hate you.
Yes.
Everyone will hate you. But
Yes.
that didn't perturb some of us. Most of my friends quit. They said they are having issues with their family. Their family said they shouldn't come on radio again. So it was later, it was me alone doing all the jobs and some few
Yes.
friends of mine, because they
Mm.
fear coming out. Because if you come out, if you
Yes.
go to apply for a job, you won't get it. Even
Yes.
even if you want acquaintance, if you if as a man, if you want a woman to have some kind of intimate affairs with, because you are an 80s, the, the lady, unless you keep your atheism to yourself. And
Yes.
so
Mm.
it is really difficult. It is really difficult coming out as an atheist here in Ghana. But some of us, because of the harm we saw in the religion, we decided that nothing can stop us from telling the people about atheism or about humanism.
Well done. You're very brave
Yeah.
because you're right. These religious people, first of all, they're motivated by money. What did you call them? Pastorpreneurs, business people using the religion as a business model and how to earn at the expense of other people. And then you talked about witchcraft. I mean, there's no such thing. That is nonsense. But it's another weapon that the religious use to try and get their way. and they use it to separate families and to dispossess people of their properties. And then you went on to mention shunning, because these religious people, since they don't have any evidence for their claims, they have to protect their beliefs by stopping people leaving them. You can't leave a belief because something will happen. You will be shunned, or you will go to hell. And you mentioned earlier on about how you are raised in the religion and your self-esteem is destroyed. You are told that horrible things will happen if you don't pray to this God, and so on and so forth. So as a small child, you are brought up in fear, which is child abuse. Let's say hello to Mike, Michael Bell. Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching us. And Dean has got something else to say here. If one single person starts to think for themselves, all this work that we have done is worth it. Yes, and you've obviously saved somebody already, Apiajei. So well done. So what's your plan going forward? What do you hope to do?
The plan is, the battle is difficult. It's really, really difficult here, because you will be stigmatized if you come out as an unbeliever or as an
Yes.
atheist. But the plan is to get more people involved in, let me say, evangelizing about atheism, or about um, humanism. We need all more hands on deck. It is really difficult working alone. So that's the more reason we created the Humanist TV Africa. In fact, Humanist TV Africa is not only about Africa. It is, our intention is to be a global media conglomerate. So we even interview people from India. We talk with people from South
Yes.
America. So we want to have studios all over the world, so that people will see that no, it is not only about Africa. Because with me, humanism should also be more political, because it is, at the end of the day, it is politics which rules our life. So I think if humanism become more political, I think the world will be like a less difficult place for all of us, and we can all even live under one united government on this planet, which I think it will be possible one day.
Well, I hope you're right. That would be, we would call that secularism, wouldn't we? Because the other thing, apart from money that the religious people want, and they're willing to take it away from people who are not in their tribe, not in their religion, the other thing they want is power, isn't it? They want control. And this is why they're always trying to get into government. And we see this around the world. We see it in America, where
Yes.
people like Donald Trump, who obviously isn't a very religious person, but he uses the Bible, and he uses the evangelicals as his supporters. He pretends that he's a member of their tribe so that they will vote for him. And so this is something that religion tries to get wrapped up with politics, doesn't it? And the Islam religion is very overt about it. It's not just a religion, it is a government system. So you've really got to obey everybody there who is a member of that belief system, that faith. So we've lost your video, Apiajei. Can we hear you? Can you speak? Can we hear you speak?
Um, Pardon me, network situation. I didn't hear what you said.
Yes, we may. We've obviously got a connection breakdown here because your camera is not delivering. So what I may have to do is, let's try. Can you switch your camera off and see if you can switch it back on again? That
My
might work.
camera. Okay.
Your camera.
Okay.
your camera. Try switching it off and back on. Dean, yeah, you're right there. If Trump has ever said a prayer by himself, yes. You remember, of course, when he was doing that publicity stunt, he walked across the road from his residence to the nearest church, and he held his Bible upside down for the camera. Do you remember that? Oh, you're back, but we still don't have enough bandwidth to. I think what we've got to do, I think, Apiajei, is turn your camera off and try just doing vocals, doing audio. We don't
Okay.
seem to have enough bandwidth.
Okay.
Keep your microphone on, but your camera off. Oh, Michael says he can see you. Oh, maybe it's just me then. I wonder why. I've got scrambled picture where Apiajei should be.
I should still switch it off, or it's fine.
Yeah.
Should I still switch the camera off, or it is fine now?
No, it depends. Michael says he can see you, but I can't. All I've got is green squares and black squares instead of a picture of you. So it might be my end, although that's very unusual because I have a really fast connection. Ooh, now you've gone black.
I've switched it off. I don't know.
Okay, well, we can still hear you. You've come back, but not properly. I don't think there's anything I can do at my end. Anyway, I want to tell you a bit about what we get up to, because you might be interested, because you can use any of our material. You can grab our videos from our channels, because I have two channels. I do Free Thought Productions. That's the channel that I started some years ago, that is now including people like Tercia normally, and other people who join me in a panel show, a chat show, which has got several members in it. And I record that one on Sundays, and it's a follow-up to the news, because my solo show, if you like, is the one that I do to camera every week, reporting on religious news, how it has impacted the human condition. And these are items of news that very often don't make it on mainstream news shows. So I do that. And then on Sundays, we have that's being a news show, it's meant to be unbiased. So on Sundays, we have the Views on the News show, in which I have a panel of people from around the world who tell us what their opinions are about that news. So that's the two of the shows that I do, apart from this one. But I wanted to say that you can have any of these streams. You can have any of these recordings or shows. Oh, and Dean can see you too. I don't know why I can't see you. I'm feeling deprived. Anyway, as long as we can talk, that's okay. Okay. So feel free to use any of this material from my personal, I call it my personal because I'm the founder, channel, which is Free Thought Productions, or my weekday channel, which is called Atheism UK. So if you go to Atheism UK, you'll see what I do from Monday to Friday. And it's being executive president of Atheism UK. Right. Okay. So I'm sorry that some of the people that I was hoping would join us haven't been able to make it here. So Dean or Michael, do you have any comments you'd like to, or questions maybe that you'd like to ask either of me or Apiajei? You can put them in in the text box, and I can screen them, and then we can talk about your questions. Okay?
And Mr. Riches, um, I hope you heard about the BBC Africa's documentary about TB Joshua. I
Oh,
know
yes.
you are you are very abreast with the news, and the issue at hand right now is most of the top journalists here in Africa, especially here in Ghana, are all defending TB Joshua. In the
Really?
midst of this, yes, in the midst of this evidence, these atrocities, this scammer, this murderer have caused, the pain
Mm.
he has caused to families, they are still defending this man because they can't believe that even our own president, who was a professor, Professor Evans Atamils, was
Yeah.
even a victim of TB Joshua. A
Well,
whole president.
that is disgraceful. And
Yes.
you
And
can
instead
see
of
that.
And instead of
You,
them to tell the people to be wary with their actions towards these so-called men of God, they are just saying the BBC is bent on disgracing Christians and in Africa. Who gave you that Christianity to you? Who gave you? It is your colonial masters. They
yes.
gave you that religion. You are still protecting. So it is hard time the average African, average Ghanaian come back to his senses and think, look, humanity, we are all one people, and
Mm.
humanity over every. Not if we talk about humanity, it's all the animals are included, all the trees are included, this planet is included. That is why we define it as humanity. So these are the things you should hold precious and protect it, and not to pray to an invisible God in the sky that in the future we will go and walk on diamonds and gold in heaven. How can you think like a madman?
Absolutely. And what Apiajei is talking about there is a BBC TV series on TB Joshua, which is available on BBC iPlayer. The first episode is available, and I'm not sure whether the other episodes are available yet. But and you may not be able to receive BBC iPlayer where you are, but it will, I'm sure, be ripped onto YouTube shortly, and you will be able to see it that way. But yes, it's absolutely horrendous what they have discovered, because they've been researching this for the last 2 years, because he died in 2021. And since then, they found out all sorts of things about his synagogue church of all nations, which it had an enormous global following, 2 million members or subscribers or something. And it sucked in people from around the world. One of the victims, it was a British woman, and she was 21 years old when she abandoned her degree at Brighton University in 2002 and joined the church as one of Joshua's disciples. And she said, at the beginning, we all thought we were in heaven, but we were in hell. And in hell, terrible things happen. She was sexually assaulted by Joshua and subjected to a form of solitary confinement for 2 years. The abuse was so severe, she attempted suicide multiple times. That's the person that they are defending, these Christians.
Yes, because they think that their whole system of Christianity is on the brink of collapse if they don't defend TB Joshua. But this man has committed atrocities. Thousands of people are dead all because of him. He told them not to take their medication if they believe in Jesus Christ. How can you
Mm,
tell HIV patients not to take their medications?
mm.
His
Yep.
building collapsed, and people from different nations died.
Yes.
People from America died, South Africa, United
Yes.
Kingdom. I'm even believing it was because of this British woman you talk about. That was more the reason the BBC got interested in TB Joshua's interested in TB Joshua. And the issue about religion is you can be an atheist, you can be a humanist, and you will not give, you will not care about it. But it is like a wildfire. It can catch you wherever you are. It
Mm,
can catch you where, yeah, you can be a humanist, you can be, I'm safe.
mm.
Me, I won't, I can't be scammed. But your children can be indoctrinated. They can be given poison, and that poison they can come home and put it inside your food.
I want to get back to some of the other stuff that TB Joshua did and the BBC have reported on in this documentary they've made. But before that, look, Michael wants to know a bit about you. Michael Bell is saying, Apiajei, how long did it take you to deconvert? Tell us your story.
Yes, my story. When I was a kid, I didn't like going to church. You have to bribe me before I go to. You have to put on my best clothes, and even in the church, I'll make sure I run away and go to the video center to watch a video. So growing up, I didn't like I didn't like church, but I was forced every Sunday to go to church with my mom. So when I grew up, I was a little bit free. I was a little bit free. I wasn't that deep religious nut. Excuse me for my words, but uh, I realized there was a certain point in my life. Most of my friends were deeply involved in Christianity, so I didn't have any friend to play with or to
Ah,
attend to. So I also joined them in their ministry, and from I started reading the Bible at that. I was a Christian, but I never took the time to. I had a Bible, but I didn't read it from Genesis to Revelation. So when I became a committed Christian, I started reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelation and started going for dawn broadcasting, preaching, because I realized Christianity or the Bible tells me to go all over the world and preach the word of God.
mhm.
So I started also doing that. But um, one way or the other, I came back to my senses, and what broke the camel's back was I was having this friend. His mother and the father are pastors. They are residing in the United States, and they have
Yeah.
his senior brother too is a pastor. So I was in the same university with him, and so sometimes I visit him in the house. So I went to the house and got and stole a certain book by Theodore Sheik, How to Think About Weird Things. And to be honest, I'm confessing, I stole the book, How to Think About Weird Things. So when I came home and
Oh,
started reading the book, everything it was like scales has fallen from my eyes. I realized
yes.
how to think about things very well. So, and I was surprised, like everything around me was a facade. Everything around me was something meant for me to was dogma, was something meant for me to
Uh-huh.
be a slave. So
Yeah.
upon reading, and I'll recommend that book. I don't know, Theodore Sheik, he has other editions, but I lost my book and I haven't got chance to get hands on that book again. So I don't know if our viewers can get those books because how to think about weird things. It will take you from from logic reasoning, and I think anyone who is able to read that book from the beginning to end will definitely be an unbeliever. Will definitely
So,
be an
so what's it called again? How to think about realism?
weird things. It's a critical thinking for a new age by this American professor Theodore Sheik. Theodore
Uh-huh.
Sheik. Yes. So it was that book that that. So I started reading more. Then I started reading about Mr. Hitchens, Dawkins. and started
Mm-hmm.
reading about and even I've read about maths before in university, but I didn't. But I went back to read about Marx again. I read about this Roselle, Sir Roselle. I forgot his Rizal is a philosopher, a modern day philosopher, and he also influenced me a lot. So reading a lot and the internet too was one thing about here in Africa is we don't have enough books. There are no
Yeah.
libraries, nothing.
Yeah.
You don't have any other option than to listen to
Yeah.
what your parents will tell you. And what our parents tell us is to be big, is to take, religion. Wow, 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 wow. This is the book that changed my life. It's changed, it changed
I
my
found
life.
it.
So yes,
I
yeah,
found
you
it
found.
for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This is a book because it will take you from one stage to the other, and it will show you in the fallacies in thinking. It would in
Mm.
like it's logic, reasoning. So and
Mm-hmm.
it's a very educative book. It will like so. And growing up here in Africa in Ghana, as I was telling you, but when I was a kid, I love reading. I
Yeah.
usually even find myself going to school and going to our library and to read all these books. So I love reading, but you won't get these kind of books anywhere. Or the only books you'll find are religious books being
Yeah.
written by these
Mm.
pastorpreneurs. You won't find these
Yeah.
kind of books in even in our universities because you complete university here in Ghana and you not even think about your religion or anything because all the
Yeah.
teachers, all your lecturers are all religious people. All the professors are all religious people. Your
Yeah.
professor will come to class and tell you to pray before you start lectures.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Yes.
So
So
Dean wants to know when you did deconvert from Christianity after you'd read that book, how did your family react? Did you suffer from being shunned at all, or are you still in contact with your family? What happened?
yes, they are still reacting and thanks to my mom. My mom is an ardent believer. Is a Christian, but she couldn't. My mom, she will cry trying to share crocodile tears so that because she thinks she is going to heaven and I'm the firstborn and his son is going to hell and she will come to and she will cry for you to be
Mm.
to be to feel like and and it is still happening because my dad is in the Netherlands, and I don't know, but most of my families, people started shining me. People started because in Africa, what we do is our living is a communal. We are communal people, and it takes people because the government doesn't help anybody. It is the family that usually help
Yes.
their people. But if the family finds out you are an atheist, they think even if they feed you, they are feeding the devil incarnate, and
Uh,
yes. So most of the friends I know, most of them they don't come out. You dare not come out.
yeah.
But some of us, I don't know, but some of us, we will tell you in your face, and either you accept us or or you reject us. But it's all good because if my family have really accepted me, I think I would have taken things very easy in life. Um, but here we are here I am. I'm still living and I'm still good. So I think
Good.
it's okay. Yeah.
Good. So you're managing. That's
Yes, yes,
excellent.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's not even if you come out as an atheist, it's not even to get employment. Nobody will employ you for
Yeah.
that.
So
Nobody, yes, nobody will employ you.
so in that respect, you are in the closet, are you? So that you can get work?
yes, most of the atheists are in the closet. But for me, I, because I came when I realized religion was a scam, I came out and not knowing I was on social media, Facebook, telling telling God my mind, telling Christian my mind, not knowing when the employers employ you, they go back to Facebook and they will uh, watch your feed on Facebook, and they realize, wow, this guy doesn't believe in God. We won't hire him. So you will be
Yeah,
writing application more than 100, 200, and you will not be getting the response. So
yeah,
yes, so that's the more reason we decided to form the Humanist TV Africa, so that
yeah,
other people too can also will not pass through the things we've been passing through. Because if I am being targeted, I don't wish that even for my enemy. It is not
no.
good to be targeted as an atheist.
Are you able to raise funds for Humanist TV Africa?
Wow. For now, our comrade Kato has been helping us, and even getting data for internet connections. Data here in Africa is really expensive. It's even expensive more than the food you can eat. So getting data and the equipments and everything, Comrade Kato has been really helping some of us here in Africa. But raising money locally, no, nobody will help you, because they think the
No,
devil has hired you for a reason, and if the devil has hired you, the devil must even it's not easy the way people, the stereotype about atheism in Ghana, and I think in Africa at large, is not good. We are human beings, and they should see us as human beings. We are not
no,
the devil, and we don't wish anything bad for them.
no, no. That is the main trouble with religions. They are divisive. They they form tribes, and then they hate anybody who's not in that tribe. And it's all bogus because, as you correctly said, there's no evidence for any God up there.
Yes.
So what a shame that mankind is afflicted in this way. Hey, what do you think? Mm.
Yes.
So,
So it deems on us to also uh, to also, I think, me, I call it a declaration of war on religion, because religion have had its times, very good times. For over 3,000, 4,000 years, religion has enjoyed the labor of mankind. So I think the information age is here. The information age is here to guide us and to protect us from religion. So we must all make use of this information tool that has been handed down to us to drive religion away from mankind.
mm. But it didn't used to be so religious. Religion has gained a hold over Ghana and Nigeria and other countries since decolonization. Since you gained your independence, it's got worse. More, the religious have grasped hold of the population more firmly. Why? How do you think? What is the reasoning behind that?
Yes, it is true, because even you first talked about Kumasi. Kumasi is very symbolic in the religious affairs of Africa, because if you study the map of Africa, you can see from Egypt to the Sahara areas, the plains, the Sahara areas of Africa. All these places have been dominated by the Islamic religion, and
Yes,
when you come to the coastal place and the forest regions, also has been dominated by Christianity. So they've
yes,
shared Africa 50-50. And
yes,
uh, Kumasi was at a point, the reason why weren't Islamized was that the horses couldn't penetrate the forest regions. The horses couldn't enter and fight in the forest areas, because the sassafly were very rampant
yes,
here, and
yes,
it killed the horses. Other than that, all
yes,
of us would have been Islamized. We would have been Muslim. So it came to the top, the northern part of Ghana, and the Asante king at that time never allowed Christianity to enter Kumasi or the Asante enclave, because he realized the religion Christianity would take the power from him and be given to
Yes.
the
Yes.
missionaries. So he never allowed till Kumasi was ransacked by the British in
Yes.
1874 and 1890s, and the missionaries came in, and even that the Akans or the Ashantis weren't enthused with the religion till when the British took the king of Asante away to Seychelles Island in Seychelles uh, Island. Then the Asante king turned to be an Anglican person,
Yes.
and he was brought back to Africa, back to Ghana. And when he came back, he was still an Anglican, and we were all Anglicanized. And
Yes.
so yeah, so from there, the politicians also realized all the people were the respect for the missionaries and for people doing Christian were so they also aligned themselves, and it was the missionaries who built the schools. So it is like
Yes.
you can't cut off the hands that is feeding you. It is the missionaries who built our education system and everything. So we grew
Yes.
our fathers grew up being Christians, because they all went to these Christian schools, and they came out as Christians, and they made sure all of us will also be Christians. So I think it's because we went to our education system was Christianized, and they took advantage of it. And when these other charismatic pastors also realized the power is not only with the Anglicans or with the Catholics, but they can also create their own sort of Christianity. Then things started escalating. So, and with the advent of the media, at first we were only having one channel TV station here in Ghana. That was the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GTV. But when other radio stations and other TV, and there was influx in a movie, then these people started making movies about the African God being gods being the devil, and the Christian God being the good one. And they
Yes.
started yeah, and so the movies, we were Christian, all right, but the movies, I think the movies started making us put fear. The movies
Yes.
put fear in most of it, because most of the movie, it was all about occultic, the devil wanting to kill the African. So it started even breaking families, because you might take someone is jealous of you, someone want to take your property, and you have to go to God. God have to protect you from these evil people, and you have to give your all to God. And we started forgetting about everything and indulging ourselves in only godly affairs. So I think the media also escalated the
Yes.
religion here in Ghana. Yeah.
Yes. 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 But anybody who's got control of the media, whether it's the printing press or the movie camera, they are the ones with power, because they can influence people. And we've got to make sure that the influence that they get is the rational one, not the nonsense one. I just wanted to go back to TB Joshua, because you were talking about how corrupt he was. And in this BBC documentary, they also unearthed new evidence about the collapsed building. You remember back in September 2014, he had a building that he used to house visiting pilgrims, a sort of basic hotel, and he had made sure that it was built rather high. In fact, the the planning permissions were ignored, the building regulations were not followed. He kept coming along saying, build it taller while it was under construction. And then eventually it was 6 stories of concrete. And on this day in September 2014, some visiting disciples were being housed there. They were shown into the dining area, and then the whole lot collapsed on them. 116
Yes.
people were killed,
Yes.
and many more were injured. Some were trapped inside alive. And this woman who I reported about earlier, this Miss Ray, who was interviewed in the documentary, she says he just kept pushing and saying, "I want it higher. It must go higher." And then when it fell down, he'd already been warned that just hours before it collapsed, that the building was swaying and shaking. But when it fell down, he said that it fell because an aircraft had flown over it. And that was just an outright lie. The reason it fell down was because it wasn't built properly. And then he tried to conceal his involvement. So he hid the dead bodies and he intimidated the families so that it never was revealed that he was responsible. There you go. That's the sort of person that he is, and that's the sort of person that they are currently defending. So watch the BBC documentary where all the truth will be revealed.
And Sir Richards, the sad aspect of it is the then president Goodluck Jonathan went to this synagogue and was consoling TB Joshua instead of him to make him accountable for his action. He went there to console him. So this is the problem. The person has killed over 100 people, and you are there commiserating with the person.
He's not the victim, is he? It's ridiculous. There you go. That's the world we live in, I'm afraid. We've got to keep trying to correct it. So grab any of my videos that you like from the Atheism UK channel and also from the Free Thought Productions channel. Use them for your programs as you wish. And I've just got time to say that next week, our guest will be a chap called Jim Barrows. Now, at this moment, I don't know very much about him because he is one of the guests that Tertia has captured. So she will be able to tell us more about him, and I'll make a poster, and we will look forward to chatting with him next Saturday. He's what is he doing? I'm trying to find out about him. No, I can't. I'm scrolling back to see if Tertia has given me any information about Jim Barrows. Oh, here he is. I found it. He is one of the hosts of the Atheist Experience. You know that show, The Atheist Experience? It comes out of it comes out of Texas. Yeah.
Yes.
So he's one of those. So we're interviewing him next week.
Wow.
Look forward to that.
Yes.
Apiajei, you'll join us, will you? Great. We'll love it. Apiajei, thank you very much. You've been fantastic. And this now becomes a podcast which anybody can watch when it suits them at their leisure time. All they have to do is go to this link in the green poster that I made for this show. And then you'll be able to come straight here and see this channel. The show, rather. Yeah. So, final words from Michael Bell, who says, "Well met and be safe, Apiajei, and take care all."
Thank you,
there
Mr.
you go.
Bell. Thank you very much.
And absolutely. Thank you.
I also use this opportunity to thank Mr. Richards for giving me this opportunity to be here with all you beautiful guys, and thank you very much. But I also tell them to also subscribe to our channel, to Humanist TV Africa on YouTube and also on Facebook. Uh, they should also try to. Right now, we are trying to raise funds to build a school in Uganda. Linda used to help. Linda Tilly of South Africa, the late Linda Tilly, used to help them. But right now, we want to make sure we also help them. So we are contributing, I think, £8,000 to build three classroom and offices for these. We call them children of the hills. So I
Yes.
think I think our audience can also help. I don't have the link here, but I think
No.
if they also follow us on Humanist TV Africa, we can provide them with the link, and they can also help these orphans in Uganda. Thank you very much.
We can put the link in the details underneath this video.
Thank you very much.
So yes, and you're right. There's 2 or 3 very good humanist schools setting up in Uganda right now.
Yes. Yes.
Apiajei, you've been wonderful. Thank you very much. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you. Bye.